So we're now going to look at what Graham Ward has to say with regards to obtaining ARQ, so Audit Record Query data from Fujitsu, in terms of what the process was and what he understood by it, how he got trained to analyse it. And it contains a bit of a familiar story regarding training, but there is one point where Graham Ward says interpreting the ARQ data from Fujitsu is merely just common sense. So how did it go so badly wrong in so many cases? Let's jump into the inquiry.
You tell us in your witness statement that you're not aware of the tests applied by either the criminal law team or the head of investigations in deciding whether to prosecute or not. Is that right?
That's correct.
And so is it right to say that the role played by casework team members in decisions to prosecute was essentially moving files from one place to another?
Yes, I would agree with that, yeah.
Why couldn't they just be sent directly?
Why didn't the investigation team just send the file to the criminal law team?
Yeah. Well, we had to do the compliance and record the details of the case because we had a casework spreadsheet that we were running that we were required to do.
But as we've heard, the compliance was limited to pretty much making the documents look pretty and checking that nothing was missing. Surely something that an investigation manager is more than capable of.
We could, maintain details of the case, where the case is at in terms of decision making. That was essentially it, I think.
So it was about numbers, and you called them earlier whether the stickers were in the right place, or I think one of the casework compliance things was whether something was written in the right font and of the right size.
That was part of the compliance, yeah.
It was that kind of thing compliance was aimed at?
Yeah.
I'll be honest, it sounds like a total non-job to me.
Do you know why the compliance didn't look at substance?
No, I didn't. I don't know.
Sounds like it was on the too hard to do pile.
Thank you. Can we turn to your role in casework in obtaining data and witness statements from Fujitsu? You tell us over a large passage in your witness statement, it's paragraphs 34 to 54 of your witness statement, your involvement in obtaining ARQ data and analysing it, yes?
Me analysing it?
Yes, i.e. that you didn't.
Yeah, I didn't, no.
Then that's quite strange. I mean, maybe less so in his role of casework manager, which seems to be just passing files, but surely the investigators are analysing the data they're getting to understand whether there's a case or not.
What training did you receive, if any, in the obtaining of data from a computer system for the purposes of disclosure in criminal proceedings?
I didn't have any training at all in that. I was trained how to obtain event and transaction logs within a branch because that was available, I believe, for about a month, and that would just be in the form of a till roll, basically. So,
sorry, sir, the stenographer said something that I didn't hear.
I didn't catch the end of the answer, sorry.
Okay, I think the stenographer didn't catch the end of the last sentence.
To do with the till roll?
Yes, I think that was the one.
So, within the branch, you could obtain event and transaction logs, I believe it went back a month, which were quite unwieldy to look through and analyse, but I was shown how to do that. But in terms of the data that was provided by Fujitsu, I didn't receive any formal training at all. It was in the form of an Excel spreadsheet, so and the columns were explained to us what was in each column, and it was all fairly common sense stuff, to be honest.
Had you ever heard of Section 69 of the Police and Criminal Evidence Act and what it required when you were performing the role of casework manager?
Section 69? No, I don't. It doesn't ring a bell with me, sorry.
Had you ever heard, if not the section and the act, anything about what the law required in criminal proceedings as to the nature and quality of the evidence produced from a computer?
Not that I can recall, no.
When you were performing this role as casework manager from 2002 onwards as an assistant to start with. Were you aware that there had been a law change prior to your taking up the function that was relevant to that issue, or may have been relevant to that issue? If we're getting data from a computer, there's certain things that we have to do alongside that to prove it in a court.
No, I wasn't aware of that.
And that there was a change in the requirements.
No, wasn't aware of that.
Were you aware of any law or evidential requirements concerning the production of computer evidence from 2002 until 2007?
No.
Was that ever the subject of discussion within the casework management team when you were obtaining this data from Fujitsu?
Not that I can recall, no.
So they were solely focused on collecting this data, not necessarily understanding what it was showing or not showing.
We're getting computer data from this person over here, this organisation over there. There are some requirements, evidential requirements, that need to be satisfied if we're going to present it to the Crown Court or the Magistrates' Court. That was not something that was the subject of discussion.
No, not that I can recall, no.
And can you remember the criminal law team ever advising on that issue or being asked to advise on that issue?
In their advices, they might ask for, obtain Horizon data, but there was no advice given on how it should be presented that I can recall.
So that's different. They're just saying we need the data. So it seems like the post office were trained in obtaining the data, but not analysing it, understanding it, or indeed the requirements of it. So I'm guessing Fujitsu didn't perform these checks or provide a statement as to those checks being complete. It seems the post office didn't. So if neither of those were doing it, then who was?
Can we look, please, at poll 00114566 and page 14, please? We can see a document here dated the 6th of January 2003. Maybe if we just skip back to the beginning part of it, if we just go back and then go forward each page, please. And keep going. Yeah, thank you. Just go back. You'll see this as a Fujitsu document, a description for the implementation and maintenance of security policies and procedures. And then if we go to the fourth page, please, and if we see in the third box down there, the third box that was being displayed, Sue Lowther, Post Office Limited, comments on version 2. Sue Lowther was a post office employee, is that right?
That's correct, yeah.
And what function would she have been performing at this time, December 2002?
Looking at the box below, Post Office Information Security Manager.
And so what relation did she have to you?
I don't recall meeting Sue.
Was she somebody with whom you were familiar?
I was aware of the name, yeah.
So it seems that somebody within the post office knew about this document, namely Ms. Lowther.
Yeah.
If we go back to page 14, please. Can you see that ARQ is defined as in the second definition down? Yes?
Yeah.
And then if we just scroll through, please, and keep going. And keep going. Keep going. And 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 keep going. Just stop that. Just go up. You'll see there's a section on litigation support. Yes?
Yes.
And then if we keep going. And then stop there. Thank you. This, I've not taken you to individual parts of it to see what it described, but in general terms, it sets out the relationship between Fujitsu on the one hand and Post Office on the other in the provision of ARQ, some other data as well, but ARQ data and litigation support, and in particular describes some contractual limits in terms of years and months, but also the process that's to be adopted in making requests and the provision of data.
Yes.
Was this a document with which you were familiar when you were performing the function of manager in 2003?
I've certainly seen a document along those lines, yeah. I mean, whether it's this one or not, but yeah, I would have had that document to help me understand the volume of requests. So yeah, I would have been aware of that, yeah.